What's up YouTube, this is Ringo from Headsphere, and today we are going to go over some past paper questions that I personally find interesting when I saw it. Of course, it has to stick with the theme of function. So we're going to say function, and this is exam questions. Okay. Can't type. So, what kind of exam question here do we have? The first one is relatively easy. It only asks two different types of question. The first type is an inverse function. The second question, part B, which is a composite function. So how does this work? Well, simply looking at this, we are going to figure out what f minus 1x is. So that's an inverse function. We're going to have this. Since f of x we know equals 5x, then we write y equals 5x. Remember, we swap the x and y over, therefore x equals 5y, and we make y the subject, which is y equals x over 5. So are we done? No, we have to write f minus 1x equals x over 5. Voila, that will be our final answer. So I'm just going to highlight this. I'm going to always highlight our answer. So that is beautiful. So the next question asks a composite function. So this is slightly more tricky. So how do we do a composite function? Let me get a drink of water. So remember that day when I taught you about subbing things in? Well, we have to sub it in one more time. So I asked my student, can you guys figure out what G7 is? Okay, so G7 is simply 7 squared plus 1. Does that make sense, guys? Because G of x equals x squared plus 1. So therefore, now x is x. 7 is 7. That's how that worked. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that equals 49 plus 1, which is equal to 50. Okay, so that was relatively simple, wasn't it? Okay, I'm going to shrink this now. I'm going to shrink this. Oops. It's a little too small. And move this aside. So now I'm going to put that 50 into something. Okay, because I want to find FG7. What I found so far was G7. So I'm going to put the G7 into the F, so it becomes this. F50 equals 5 times, 50. Does that make sense? Because G7 was equal to 50, so FG7 means F50. And that is where we're going to get 250. Voila, that will be your answer, guys. Very simple, very to the point, isn't it? Amazing. So sometimes things get complicated. And when things get complicated, it gets interesting. So take a look at this question. This is a November 2015 question, if I did not remember wrong. So again, it asks you to find the inverse function. Okay, inverse, easy stuff. Remember, we've been doing this. So let's get a pen. So we have f of x equals bracket x minus 5q. Looks nasty, but it's easy. So we're going to have the y equals x minus 5q. Okay, in order to get off that ugly q, actually before that, we're going to switch to x and y. X equals bracket y minus 5q. Because it's a cube and we have to get rid of it, we have to cube root something. So we're going to cube root the x. See, I made a mistake. And because we're cube rooting the x, why did I just write 3 again? And because we're cube rooting the x, we do not have to worry about that positive, negative sign. All we have to do is to move this 5 back over here, which is root x plus 5 equals y. So the final answer, or the final way to write this answer, is f minus 1x equals cube root x plus 5. Voila, that will be the answer. And oops, wrong color. I'm going to highlight this. That will be the answer. So that was easy. The question that I find tricky is the one in part B. So what is it exactly asking? It says the function, the composite function of f g x equals 8x6. Find g of x. So this one confused a lot of students. Like when I say a lot, I do mean a lot of students, because they're just confused. So let's try to work this out. Let me show you where the confusion comes in. So f g x, yes guys, f g x could be written like this. I know equals 8x6. Okay. Remember I told you about g of x being put into f? Let's actually try that here. If I f g x, that would be equal to g of x minus 5q. Do you see what happened? I'm using the most fundamental and basic stuff I taught you in the composite function lesson, where if my function was gx, I put gx as my x. That's it. So now I'm going to make a little comparison. I ask myself one tiny little question. How does this and this looks alike? Does it look alike? Not at all. Can I make it look alike? Yes. Look at the power. Here is a power of 3. Here is a power of 6. The first question I ask myself, can I make the power of 6 into a power of 3? Okay, so I'm going to need something like this, okay, to match my this. So how the hell, oops, I should not swear, how should I get the cube? Well, I ask myself, x times something, x to the power of something times this. So obviously, if you know your math, that should be it. Why does it look like 3? Why did you draw 2 there? But okay. So if you knew, see, I need to stop making this mistake while I talk. If you knew math, you know this. X squared inside, outside the power of 3, you multiply it. That's x6. What about the 8? 8, how do I get 8? Well, we know 2, yeah? So 2x squared whole cube would equal to 8x6. Does that make sense? So what actually happened is that I can tell you that this down here actually equals to this. Oops, can't draw the arrow. So now we can actually finally make a comparison between here and here. We know that 2x squared will then be equal to g of x minus 5. Okay, so the question asks, what is gx? Well, that is simple. Gx will simply... where are the stuff disappearing? G of x will simply be 2x squared plus 5. Remember, that's a 5 there. So voila, guys, this is actually how you figure it out. So again, we're going to pull down that menu and we're going to get my highlighter, if I can. which I realize something's wrong, but don't worry. But that is exactly the answer. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and peace out for now. This is Ringo from Let's Hear.